Cuban cigar industry, the Pacific Cigar Company might just be the most valuable importer and distributor in the world. From Japan to Australia, the company spans across more than 30 countries. Managing such a vast region requires a modern and sophisticated system, one that not only protects against counterfeits, but also tracks whether or not stock has moved through authorized channels. To see how that works in practice, we spoke with Dag Holmboe, CEO of the Pacific Cigar Company at the Casa del Habano Central store in Hong Kong.
Good morning, how are you doing? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, it started with an idea we had in 2023 or something like that, I think. We had an old seal, and the old seal was basically a paper seal with some holograms and things like that.
Yeah.
And like everything else, they got copied. So we decided we had to come up with something new. We had an IT person that sort of said, well, we should look at NFC. It started at a very simple idea of authenticity and became a very complex process which took us nearly 2 years to develop until we launched it in 2024, which is the NFC authenticity seal, which do two things. One, it allows the consumer to just tap on the seal and get the confirmation that the product is what it is. It gives you details about the product, but it also gives you detail about where the product was sold.
Yeah.
So for example, if you bought a cigar here, it will, when you tap it, say that cigars were bought in La Casa Central on the 24th of January 2025, for example.
Yeah.
At the same time, you can call a track and trace for PCC. We can follow the cigar all the way from when it enters our bonded warehouse here in Hong Kong. It matches back to the invoice and the delivery note from Habanos. We can then see that it was transferred from one warehouse to another warehouse of a certain date. It would then transfer to PCC wholesale. It was then transferred into a shop and then sold to a consumer at such and such dates. So we can follow the cigar box all the way from Habanos all the way to the consumer.
Wow. So when it ends up in the customer's hands, let's say, I'm assuming you have some idea of where your cigars are purchased. And let's say without the NFC, you would have had some idea of where your cigars have been purchased and where they end up. But you don't have a clear understanding of that. But what I'm understanding is with this NFC chip, if let's say your boxes end up in the States, for example, you will know when they tap it that they've ended up in the States, and you've got this incredible wealth of information.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, we can see it if they allow. It depends how the setting is on the phone of the consumer.
Okay.
But in some cases, yes, we can then see that it's been tapped in United States or in Brazil or wherever.
Well, it just shows you the geolocation. It doesn't necessarily give any actual sensitive information. Yeah, but that means that you're able to see where your cigars end up, and I think that's an incredible bit of information. And
internally for us, yes, it's very useful.
Because the way that you can strategize and effectively manage stock, it gives you a lot of ammunition. I think so anyway.
Yeah, no, it does. And it gives us a security that if there is a problem or if we think something is going on that we don't approve of or don't like, we can then follow these boxes and see what they happen. For example, if a box ends up being scanned again and again at a specific location, it's something fishy. Why would it be scanned 10 times? We can then investigate. We have obviously we have a computer system that will send up red alerts if there is something strange going on, because we scan, or we have about 400,000 stickers or tags per year.
Wow.
Roughly.
Wow.
So you can't follow each one.
No. So you've got like algorithms set in place to kind of set off alarm bells if anything
and
goes
at the same
wrong.
time, each box is tagged to the barcode of Habanos. So it's a sort of double security system. So if you tap on the box that has the NFC, you will also see the barcode number that Habanos is using for that box, and you can then match it and see that it's the same.
I gotta tell you, I absolutely love this system. I mean, the information that it gives you as an importer, on top of the security aspects,
How does this integrate with Habanos's NFC system that they have, and also the barcode? So how does it? I mean, we know how it implements with the barcode, but how does it integrate? Does it integrate with the NFC that Habanos has?
Well, Habanos have their NFC for certain cigars
Yeah.
or for certain vitolas, and they will provide information about that vitola, and it will be matched, like between the
Yes,
box
yes.
and the cigar and the information they have. So, and then we take that information and implement part of it into our tag, our NFC tag. So they're complementary. They work together. You get some information from the Habanos one, and you get the other set of information, which is then specific to PCC
Yes.
about where the box has been, where it's going, where it's been sold, and all that. Because that you can't get from Habanos.
No,
sticker.
yes.
So we get more information, and we are very open about it. The consumer will tap it, get the information instantly.
You don't need to type anything in either. You just tap your phone and
You
it
just
comes
tap
up.
the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to take then a screenshot, you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
take a
of course.
screenshot,
Yes,
obviously.
yeah.
But it was a very complicated process, because we started very simple. We said, we want something you tap and they say the product is from PCC.
Yeah,
Simple enough.
yeah.
Then we realized that NFC offer you a whole world of possibility to enter more information. You get this track and trace system, open boxes. Think about it. You have to then also have a system. So if this box is returned to not open, but returned to the warehouse,
Yeah.
you have to be able to say, yes, that box has been returned to the warehouse, been sent to another shop. And little by little, it became an extremely complex development, which we took a year or two to develop for ourselves.
Took about 2 years for you to develop the
Yeah.
system. And a lot of hard
now
work.
we have the whole system, and it works very, very well for the consumer. They get their information, and we get our information. It's a very
Awesome.
clever system, and we were the first, and I think still we are the only distributor that has implemented this NFC system completely. So the difference, of course, with Habanos is also that we do every box.
Yeah.
Irrespective of the price or
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
else.
Yes.
Habanos, at the moment at least, is focused on the more expensive SKUs.
Like the Monte Cristo
like the-
90th and such. And
and the Behik and things
Yes,
like
yes,
that.
yeah.
We do it for every box.
It gives the consumer a lot of reassurance, because there's an incentive for people to produce fake cigars, especially with some of the more high-end stuff.
Yeah.
And we've seen plenty of horror stories with many of the high-end Cohibas, but this is that additional layer on top of the Habanos tags and Habanos NFC, and then you've got this as well.
Yeah.
I think that this is going to give people an incredible degree of reassurance where they can be confident if they buy a Pacific cigar, they're going to be okay.
There is a lot of consumers, especially in the mainland China, for example, where there is has been a lot of fake cigars.
Yeah.
That consumers, they come all the way, or they come to Hong Kong or to Thailand or wherever, and they go to our shops or go to shops that have bought cigars from us, and they are looking for that tag, because they know that gives them that security, that it's been imported by PCC, it's been sold by PCC.
Does this potentially create a situation where consumers may not necessarily be interested in some of the older boxes where they've got the hologram and the seal, where they're trying to avoid that because they want the more of the NFC?
Well, I think our consumers know that our old seal is also a
Yeah.
security seal and authenticity. We try to little by little replace them. So all the stock that is in our warehouse one, or what we call warehouse one, bonded warehouse, will also get the NFC seal before they leave the warehouse. So it doesn't matter when they entered.
Yeah.
It's more that some of these boxes, if they've been sitting in our shops for a long time, we are not going to put another seal on the seal.
One of the most valuable things about the Pacific Cigar seal is the information it provides to customers. A single tap on your phone pulls up details about the cigar itself, the packaging, box codes and dates, and even the Habanos barcode. It also tells you whether the cigars were listed for sale as singles or as a full box. But the digital side is only part of the story. Quality control and how each box of cigars is managed is also a core part of what the seal represents. So we visited the Pacific Cigar Company's head office and quality control warehouse in Hong Kong to see this process firsthand. There we sat down with Regional Director Kenith Wong to learn more about what goes on behind the scenes. thank you so much for allowing us to
Thank
come
you.
here and visit your wonderful offices. It's been quite educational for us going around all the different stores and learning more about your locations and what you do and how you manage the cigars. But the one thing I keep hearing over and over is quality control. And it's all well and good when someone says, oh yeah, we have great quality control, but it's quite a vague term. It doesn't actually express what it means and what you're specifically doing to manage the quality of your cigar. So I wanted to get a little bit more deeper into this, and I hope you don't mind, but I wanted to probe a little bit. What is it that you're specifically doing to ensure quality control for your cigars?
Okay. Well, I think firstly, the most key thing is about the procedures. Because when the cigars are arrived to our warehouse, so our people, actually we have a very good team of quality control. So they will follow the procedures. So firstly, they want to make sure that the appearance of the boxes are okay. So any defects on that, any lacking of some important seals or what. So they will check all this detailedly, box by box. That's the first thing they will do. So the second, then they will open the box and then check layer by layer and cigar by cigar. Because as you know, as a cigar lovers, cigars handmade. So we want to make sure that there's nothing unintentionally to create some unpleasant appearance of the cigar. So that's why the staff will also check layer by layer and also check cigar by cigar. Cigars are organic. So we want to make sure that there's no bugs issue, no molding, and also no serious cracking of the wrappers to make sure the cigars are laden in a very nice condition. And then they will put the cigar back in the same order as it arrives.
And this is done for all of the boxes that are unsealed. That you will physically take the cigars out and individually check them by hand.
Yeah, actually, when people see the cigar in the shop with an unsealed box, that means we have go through this process to make sure the cigars are okay, without cracks, without molding, without bugs problem. Then we put it back to the same order as the cigars arrives.
That's quite a massive task. I mean, considering the number of cigars that are going through, or the number of cigar boxes that are going through your warehouse, that's a huge task. And I'm assuming you need like a quite a significant team to be able to do that. I mean, it must be quite a strain on the company then.
Yeah, we have a strong team, especially the supervisor. Actually, they also have been working in the company for a long time. So because, of course, first thing is they love cigars. And they have to face the cigars every day.
Yeah.
So they treat the cigars like their family members. So that's why that's one thing we are quite proud of, our quality control team.
And that's sort of an incredibly valuable thing for you.
Yes, very important, because we need to make sure our customer have a very good experience when they smoke the cigars.
Well, that leads me on to my second question, and that is that you're not a manufacturing company. I mean, you're not manufacturing anything really. You're a distributor. You're a retailer as well, but predominantly you're a distributor. With the greatest respect, what on earth is a distributor doing with quality control when it comes to cigars that you haven't manufactured yourself?
Well, as you know, as a cigar lovers, as you know, when the cigars leaves Habano SA, of course the cigars are in good condition. But along the long way to arrive to Hong Kong, for example, many things will happen. So we want to discover those things like a bit of damages or something like molding before the cigars arrive to our retail outlets. Yeah, because we want to make sure our customers have the best smoking experience when they choose the cigars. And another key thing is because, like in Hong Kong, many people want to buy their cigars and to age it by themselves. So we want to make sure the cigar, before they start to age it, it is already in a very good condition. Then after a few years, the cigars are still in very good condition for them to smoke.
So do you age the cigars for your customers yourself as well? Like, let's say customers have bought some cigars and they want to put them away. Do you have a facility as a distributor to hold those cigars and age them for your customers over a long period?
Yes. One special service we offer to our member is because we have a customer warehouse. So the good thing is, like for example in Hong Kong, so people may not have too much space at home to store their cigars or nobody to take care of their cigars. So our service is to offer a customer warehouse. When they buy the cigars from us, then they can choose to store the cigars in our customer warehouse. So then we can age them in a very good condition. Yeah, so the cigars, even for age for many years, it will be even better and better.
So you know the aging program that you have internally, where because I saw like a few boxes which said vintage 2015 or so on, and then there was an
Yes.
extra sticker on it, and that's a vintage cigar aged by Pacific Cigar Company. So that program and the members that you have, do you age the cigars in like the same way for both, or how does it work? Do you have like a slightly different way that you age, or
Okay, I think the vintage stock you were seeing with the vintage label, that is our own PCC vintage program. Of course, the quality control team take care of both our PCC vintage program, or also taking care of the customer warehouse that with customer who age their cigars in our customer warehouse. Yeah, they are in different location, but we are keeping it in the same way with the same team to make sure the condition and also the humidity temperature is in the best condition for aging.
that's pretty amazing, because you know customers could essentially purchase cigars at retail, age them in the same way that you age your vintage cigars, and then you know they've spent that amount of time, and they end up with vintage cigars that are managed in the exact same way. So the value to the customer is actually quite significant. Then that's pretty impressive to me.
Yes, because as you know, vintage cigars with a certain ages is quite different,
Yeah.
honestly, and especially for cigars with a very high aging potential. So that's why I think aging cigars is a very, very important aspect for cigar lovers.
So I guess that explains why you focus so much on the quality control, because if you have these, you know, big programs where you're aging cigars over a long term, especially, you know, one that you're doing yourself and for your customers, then what you don't want to do is start aging cigars that are in bad condition to begin with. And then if you make sure the cigars are in good condition to begin with, you've got a significantly higher chance.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. That's still a lot of work that you're putting into it.
Well, but it's worth because, as you know, as a cigar smoker, so besides the value of the cigar you spend on it, it's about the time that you spend on it. So that's why we want to make sure either you want to age the cigars or either you want to smoke the cigar at that moment.
Yeah.
You will have the best experience.
One of the unique features of the Pacific Cigar Company is that aside from being an importer and distributor, it also operates as a retailer across Hong Kong, Southeast Asia and Australia. This plays a major part in ensuring security and quality for the cigars that are available to customers in this region.
Well, you have been opening up quite a lot of stores. I mean, it feels like you're opening up a new lounge or a new location at least, you know, once or twice a year. How does that benefit you? How does that assist you in a strategic manner?
Well, we have realized, or we believe very strongly, that having lounges and shops help us communicate with consumers, and it also gives us the strength in the local market.
Yeah.
We can control much better what goes on. So the stronger we are in retail in a specific market, the stronger we think our position is in the market in general. So that's why we are still developing new shops, not only in Hong Kong, but we have opened, for example, a few months ago, we opened a new shop in Australia, in Sydney, a big La Casa there. We just opened a big shop a big La Casa in Malaysia, in KL. We used to have a very small shop there.
Yeah.
Now we have a massive shop of 250 square meter. So every year we try to expand into the various markets that we are operating in.
So a couple of things that I noticed was that you tend to, whenever the last few locations that you've opened, they've all been La Casas. So are you planning on opening more La Casas, or does it matter to you whether it's a La Casa or not? How does that integrate with your overall strategy of expansion?
Well, we obviously like the La Casa concept because it brings us back to a link to Habanos, which is important. And in many markets, La Casa concept is very recognized. So if a tourist comes from another country, he looks at the La Casa, he knows that it's linked to Habanos in that certain way. But we also have Cohiba atmosphere in various countries. But we also have shops that have different names. We have Red Chamber Cigar Divan, we have Cohiba Cigar Divan.
Yeah.
Because when you have 16 shops, you don't necessarily, well, at least it's not our strategy, we don't want all of them to have the same name.
Yeah.
So we have different shops in different markets.
Many of the stores that you have, many of the high-end locations that you have, they're in these incredible, prestigious hotels like the Mandarin, the Kempinski. what does that how does that benefit you instead of let's say having just something like this, which is a standalone store, or like a Cohiba atmosphere which sits on its own? Why does the integration with a hotel benefit you more than, let's say, just opening up an individual store?
Well, it helps us in as much as, for example, if you're in Mandarin, you touch very easily on all the tourists that are coming to that location. And also the infrastructure is very easy to manage inside the hotel. If people want drinks, they can get it from the room service or from the service of the hotel. And we have a very long tradition to work with, for example, the Mandarin and the Kempinski. And we like to work with those groups of hotels because they are relatively friendly towards cigar smoking inside the law of that country.
Yes.
But at the same time, we have to find other locations like this where we have to be in an office building. This is an office building, by the way.
It's an office building? I didn't
yes.
even notice.
There is 10 floors of offices and 1 floor cigar bar.
Well,
and
lunch break, I guess,
Yeah. But it's also simply a question of economy. You can't have this on street level because it's going to be too expensive. The rent in Hong Kong is prohibitive for having big lounges on street level.
I can imagine,
You tend to tuck them away up in an office building. You will see we are on the 21st floor, on the 11th floor, 24th floor.
But the destination location, so people...
It's destination.
Yes.
When we are in a hotel, it's easier for tourists to access. When we are it's a destination.
Yeah.
You're not going to find this without looking at our website.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to walk past and say, oh yeah, there is a cigar shop on the 14th floor.
Interesting. Fantastic. Dag, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. This tour, visiting this location, honestly, this has been such an incredible experience for me. Thank you so much. I've thoroughly enjoyed this.
It's been great.
Thank you.
A pleasure to meet you, and I hope you will enjoy the rest of the visit to all our other shops.
I'm certain I will. Thank you.
Thank you.